Let's see if this thing does a burn. No, it doesn't. That's like the first thing I do when I get a rental car. Does it do a burnout? Alright guys, I'm at Mod 2018 Mitsubishi Owners Day, and right at the entrance I noticed this Datsun 510 and there is a 4063 in there. So I wanted to talk to the owner real quick, who actually noticed me first, this tall guy. So yeah, I'm just gonna ask him a few questions and learn a little bit about this unique build here. So let's talk about the chassis here. This is a Datsun 510.
Yeah, it's a 1972 Datsun 510. Four-door, doesn't really matter though.
Was it running when you first bought it?
No, I actually bought it as a rolling chassis. The guy that I bought it from did have an engine transmission in it, but I gave it back to him so that we could get the price down. I paid $800 for this in 2005.
Wow. And what kind of 4063 is this?
It's actually 95 7-bolt block. It has Evo 9 pistons and rods, and then it has a first generation head on it.
Okay, and then what kind of turbo is that I see on
it's a kind of an old school Garrett GT 3076 with a DSM exhaust housing on it. It was made by a company called Slowboy Racing.
And what kind of power do you make with this setup as is?
That's a really great question. Well, I took it to the drag strip once just to kind of play around, and I'm not fast at all. It's trapping at about 98 miles an hour, which only puts me at about 150 horsepower.
How much does it weigh?
I don't know. Some people are saying that the car should weigh about 2,300 pounds.
Okay. No, but then 150 horsepower in car that weighs
it's
that's
definitely
a fun,
fun at that horsepower.
That's a fun setup. Yeah,
but even stock, this should make 200 horsepower. So I feel I'm not doing it justice. No, this stock motor that came in here was an L16, and they made about 95 horsepower.
Toyota transmission, you said?
Yeah, it's a R154 out of an NK3 Super Turbo. And everything, all the running gear and stuff on here, brakes, 5-lug swap, all that stuff is from a Z31 300ZX.
That sounds like a common thing to do. The 300ZX, people swap parts from that into older cars.
It was kind of a big, ugly car at the time, and but it was a well-built car, so people are taking parts off of them.
Yeah.
So this has an R200 rear differential, and then it has CV axles from the same car.
So as far as the motor goes, so oh wait, you got all new harness also?
I took out a bunch of things that were in there that weren't needed and kind of rewired everything. That's one of my next jobs though, is to really clean up the wiring harness and do a more professional job with it. I've owned this car since 2005, but it's only been registered and roadworthy for just over a year.
Wow.
Just between moving and having money or not having time and things like that to work on it, it just took forever. Yeah, so the engine mounts, mounting up to the engine itself, they're stock Mitsubishi Mighty Max motor mounts. And then I use stock Datsun 620 rubber mounts. They're just a little bit taller than the stock 510 units, but they're basically the same style. And that bolts directly to the stock Datsun 510 front cross member. And you just have to flip around the middle section for any front sump swaps. So like SR20 guys and stuff, they still have to cut out the front of the cross member and turn it around. But it's a real simple job.
Do you know anybody else who has done this?
As far as I know, this is the only one there is.
Yeah.
When I started mine, there was another guy, I believe, up in Washington that started his, and he kind of gave up. I think it was a little too much for him.
Yeah.
But he went overboard, so he wanted to scoot the motor back even further. So he actually like cut out part of the firewall and stuff. So he kind of ruined the car by doing that.
How about the suspension side of things?
Suspension. So the front struts are actually from an S12 200SX V6. Which was kind of an uncommon car, but it's the same shape as a 280ZX strut, which is kind of a common swap for this. The reason I chose those ones specifically is because the Z31 5-lug spindles bolt directly up to these with no modifications. And then the top hats, the springs and shocks and stuff I got from a company called Top End Performance. They just sold kind of a generic suspension kit for the Datsun 510, and it matches up. Underneath I actually have Fudo Fab lower control arms and tension control rods, and they're all super nice billet aluminum things. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Nice.
Then it has a Fudo Fab front roll bar on here, or anti-sway bar, whatever you want to call it. In the rear it's basically all stock, with the exception of stiffer springs and shocks, and then there's a guy who makes an adjustable bracket for the rear control arm, so that when you lower the car, you can readjust the alignment and stuff on it.
Okay. Anything you have done to the exterior of the car, you pretty much kept it the same?
Everything on the exterior is basically stock, other than I got some wheels on there that I just thought looked okay.
Looked okay.
Yeah, well, so I saw them in a magazine. They're TSW Kyalamis, or however you say it, and they kind of had the look that I wanted to go for, but there's no dish on it whatsoever. Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit disappointing, but there's not a whole lot of space in there as it is.
Yeah. Did you ever think of over fenders and then getting some more offset?
Yes, so in the future that is a plan. So there's guys that are using some old Volkswagen parts out of their metal fenders, and it's just a really small lip, but I don't want to do like the ZG flares like a lot of the Z guys do and stuff.
Not too far.
Yeah, I think the rounded flare just doesn't quite fit the boxy nature of the 510.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But for the most part, from the outside, I wanted it to kind of look stock-ish, maybe, you know, lowered and with wheels and stuff. But then underneath is where all the work went on.
As soon as I saw under the hood, I was like, okay, all right, he knows what he's doing. I like that look though.
Well, and then a lot of people walk up and they look at it and they're like, well, that's not an SR, what is that? Well, and it does look very different than a stock 4G63. And I just sit there and I let them guess for a while, but I just sit here and I just tap my front license plate and nobody pays attention to my front license
you're right, yeah.
Yeah,
4G63 510. I actually just realized that myself. He basically drove from Vegas, which is about 4-hour drive, just for this event and spend the weekend here, right? And he actually also went to Colorado, which is what, 6 hours, you said?
It's about 12 hours.
12 hours?
Miles, yeah.
800 miles in this Datsun 510. No cruise control, no AC, just windows down. And it's been reliable so far, I guess?
Yeah, knock on whatever I have to knock on, it stays reliable.
Injectors and stuff like
plugs,
that?
Yeah, so it's a 300M coil. I actually bought some cheap ones off of like Rock Auto. Yeah. And as soon as they would get hot, the whole motor would just shut off and not start. Yeah. So I got these. These are just stock like Chrysler parts, and it seems to be doing okay. It got me out here.
Chrysler parts.
But just in case, I do have my stock coil in the trunk.
Yeah.
So if it shuts down, I know that's
what else do you have in the trunk? You have
a small toolkit, just to, like, in case something goes on. But it does have bigger injectors. It has Denso 680 injectors, and I am running ECM Link using speed density. So instead of the stock mass airflow sensor, it uses a map sensor and an air temperature sensor. It's a pretty basic kind of swap. Again, I used as many like junkyard and stock parts as possible. I mean, this is from a Lexus. The center console is from an EG Civic, just so I could have cup holders.
Yeah, he says simple, but it's really not simple. I mean, the parts he uses is simple, but finding the parts and getting creative and making it work is the hardest part. I mean, how much time did you put into this? You had this for over a decade now. Yeah.
So there's lots of time to think about it. Well, and then there is a lot of support for the chassis itself. So there's lots of guys who's figured out like this works and this doesn't work. Oh, so I do have projector headlights from an early 90s BMW. And it's just a more modern headlight, and it has a little bit better like cutoff and stuff when the lights are on. Yes.
What else do you have planned for the future? You said so the fenders a little bit.
Yeah, so honestly everything is going to be kind of touch-up work or upgrading things. It definitely needs a limited slip differential. I'm hoping to fit some wider tires on here. I think I might be able to get a 225 under it, because right now the 205's like second gear. I can spin all the way through second gear. It's fun, but it's not productive.
An open diff in the back is
an open diff is doing me no good when I go autocrossing and stuff. So I do autocrossing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I want to redo the wiring just to kind of clean things up. Again, that was kind of one of the focuses of my build, was to try and keep things clean and neat and kind of
I can see that clean engine.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to like tuck things and like hide things. It's not a show car. But I want it to be. If it doesn't need to be there, then it doesn't need to be there.
It's functionally clean. Yeah, I like that.
Like that, functionally clean.
That's what I call my FT. It's functionally clean. I don't tuck anything, but if I don't need it, it's out of the engine bay.
There you go. I like that.
But wow, fuel cell just sitting like that? Fuel tank?
That's the way the stock tank is.
Yeah, fuel tank is just...
But I took, so this is one thing, so this is one of the few things that I didn't actually do. So this right here, is the fuel sending unit or the fuel pump unit from a Z31 300ZX.
Yeah.
And so we basically just cut a hole in it and welded it in.
Hey, you put new gauge in. Is that speed hut gauges?
Yeah, speed hut gauges.
Oh, nice.
So it's a GPS speedometer. There's a little sensor right there.
Nice. So you retrofit all the gauges in here too. That is so cool.
That's cool. Alright, where's my rattle at? There it is.
No, but you got radio in here though, huh? You got speakers.
Yeah.
That's a must on a road trip.
Doing some rolling shots too.
Yeah, right. Is it pretty easy to drive?
Yeah, it's easy to drive. I need to adjust my throttle pedal. So eventually when I'm good enough to be able to go road racing with it, I can do heel toe with it.
Okay.
And this whole car is a learning experience for me. Again, I learned how to TIG weld, making my exhaust, and learned lots about cars.
Yeah.
Built my first engine, built my first car.
That's cool. I'm so amazed that you fit in here. How tall are you?
6'10".
6'10". I'm 6 feet. And I don't know how it fits in here. Alright guys, and that is quick owner review of the Datsun 510 powered by 4G63. What a unique build. I knew I had to film it as soon as I saw it. I hope you enjoyed the quick footage of the Datsun. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Post it in the comment section below. Peace. It's so
So the ultimate